First question really around about hitting low golf shots is, why would we need to hit a low golf shot? Why we want a ball to go in the air every time, don't we? Why do we ever want to see the ball go low? But there's times and places where maybe it's really windy and you want to hit one under the wind. Maybe you've actually hit one into the trees and you want to get one running out of the trees and rolling a long way. Or maybe there's a back pin and you want to roll one up a tier and roll it all the way to the back pin. So there's times and places where hitting low golf shots is good for you. Now, generally speaking, your clubs are designed to hit the ball up in the air. So hitting one low might feel a bit counterintuitive. So the first thing you could consider is which club should you use to hit the ball lower. Now, I've chosen a 5-iron here, which doesn't have a massive amount of loft on it anyway. But I would suggest if you've gone and got yourself your sand wedge or your pitching wedge, and then you're trying to hit a low shot, it doesn't really work because those clubs are all about hitting the ball up in the air. So go ahead and choose a mid to a long iron, and then let's talk about trying to hit the ball low. Generally speaking, we'd take this 5-iron from a position where it would be slightly ahead of centre in my stance. My body weight would move slightly back and I'd sweep the ball as I came through it, and I'd help the ball up into the air a little bit. To hit the ball low, I'm going to make a couple of changes here. First change is I'm going to move the ball back in my stance. I'm going to have this ball positioned behind the centre of my stance, nearer to my trail leg. The next thing is I'm going to try and keep the handle ahead. By keeping the handle ahead, I take loft off. Every degree that I move that handle forwards is a degree that comes off that club face. If I have the ball back in my stance and then I lean back to scoop it, I've achieved nothing there by having the handle back and the ball back together. So the handle goes forwards and the ball goes back. I then de-loft it. I could make a slightly shorter backswing. I could make a slightly more held off finish position, as in I'm not going to flick my hands and try and lift the ball back in the air. By taking my shorter backswing, I might feel like I lose a bit of power, but I should definitely feel like I gain a bit more control of this low, punchy 5-iron shot. So ball back in my stance, hands well ahead, body weight staying ahead and centered on a little short swing. And I can see that ball there hasn't reached the height of those trees, and it's landed, but it's rolling and it's rolling and it's rolling and it's still rolling. So it's a real good punchy shot. If I played that into a very strong wind, it would be a lot less affected by the wind than the higher version. If I played that shot and I was in the trees, it could come out below the branches and roll a long way rather than flying too high up in the air. So next time you're at the driving range, consider how you might play and practice low punchy shots. Take a less lofted club, play the ball slightly back in your stance, have the handle quite a long way forwards in your setup, pointing towards your left hip still, and then play a nice little punchy follow through and see if you can drive the ball out there low and practice those low runners rather than the high floaters.